Part 11. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 103. The first update arrives, and there is another update. It was only 8 o'clock in the evening, and the road was already dead silent. Thinking of her time, the nightlife at this time was just beginning. Staring out the window, Chu Xia felt helpless and powerless. She asked him why he let her marry him. He said that since he dared to send it to his door after knowing what happened to his family, he must be prepared to bear the consequences. In other words, his family has made it clear that they will no longer force him, and he made her bear such consequences, which is too rude, too domineering, and not to treat her as a human being. Besides, she is only 17 years old. Could it be that he has no mental disorder? Marrying a girl 10 years younger than him, is he really free from psychological barriers? In front of his family, she can't ask him if he likes her or not. She can only pretend to be dumb. She doesn't answer what he says. She believes that after leaving his house, after that time, he will change my mind. We ate dinner at his house, and the atmosphere was very dull. After the meal, everyone quickly dispersed. Even Zhang, who brought her here, disappeared somewhere. As for Zhou Hanliang, he ran away without eating. She wanted to run too, but since she was unfamiliar with the place and had no one to take her with her, she didn't dare to run. One by one, it's too shameless. Well, she doesn't know her very well, and it seems that she really has no sense of loyalty, but they are her leaders after all, so they must fulfill their leadership responsibilities, right? How could she be ashamed to leave her, a weak woman, to face the evil star that they dare not mess with alone? Alas, in fact, they are really embarrassed. With a faint sigh, Chu Xia looked away from the window, glanced at the group leader Tongzi, who was driving with a sullen face, and sighed again. He glared at her. "You are so young, why are you sighing? Leader, you said that you are too big to be young, and you are betting on this kind of anger. Is it interesting?" "Who said I was angry?" he frowned. "Where did you see that I was angry?" Gritting her teeth, Chu Xia asked, "Then do you like me?" "Like?" The answer is quite happy. Do you understand what she means? Chu Xia secretly rolled her eyes. "I mean, do you have the feeling a man has for a woman towards me? Aren't I a man and you a woman? Is there any problem with this person's understanding?" Chu Xia had no choice but to be more straightforward. "When you saw me, did you feel your heart beating? Can you live without your heart beating?" Flip the table. Chu Xia was really pissed off. Is there such a person? She couldn't believe that he couldn't understand her. Speaking of it so straightforwardly, if he still doesn't understand, then he is simply an idiot with a comprehension barrier. Can an idiot be the team leader? Zhou Mikang, don't play dumb with me. How dare you swear that you don't know what I'm asking? Glancing at the little milk cat with fried hair, Zhou Mikang finally pulled out a suspicious smile. "Lin Chuxia, are you so reluctant to marry me? If you really like me and want to marry me willingly." Chu Xia blushed and said after a long pause, "Or, marrying you is not unacceptable, but the actual situation is, you're getting annoyed by your family. You're just trying to pick someone up to solve the problem at hand. It's not fair to me." "That's right. With your background, if you have to force me to marry you, then, I have no choice but to obey, but I will look down on you." "Never look down upon. Now, in your eyes, I am no different from Xue Ligang, right? You are worse than him." At this point, Chu Xia has completely given up. She was just a post-90s who was pampered and grew up without any suffering, and she was at her limit to be able to endure until now she broke out. Zhou Mikang nodded. "Well, I am worse than him, because my official position is higher than his, and my family background is stronger than his. As long as I am willing, Girls who want to marry me will line up for me to choose. However, it is shameless for me to force a girl who doesn't like me to marry me, right? This is not quite understandable. Chuseok unabashedly gave him a thumbs up without saying a word. It's just your opinion, it doesn't mean I think the same way, Jo Mikang said with a serious face. I'm asking, I came to serve as a soldier to make your parents' lives better, right? Chuseok nodded affirmatively, yes. So, which method do you want to use to make their lives better? I've thought about this countless times, and Chuseok came here by the way. Behave well, become a volunteer, or take the military academy, and pick them up in the future, and don't let them be bullied again. Jo Mikang glanced at her lightly. This is your idea, but have you ever thought about whether they will adapt after leaving their homeland? You mean, I should stop being a soldier and go home? Chuseok blinked her big eyes. Understood, you mean, if I don't marry you, I have to go home, right? Jo Mikang frowned. Lin Chuxia, do you have an elm head? You're the one with the elm head. Jo Mikang shook his head helplessly. You are not very big, but you have a stubborn temper. I said, Lin Chuxia, why does it feel like you have eaten explosives every time you see me? How did I offend you? Where did you offend me? Chuseok was speechless. Heh, you really know how to ask. This is ancient times. You are probably a bully who brought servants and robbed women in the street. Okay, let's get to the point. Let me tell you this. For your parents, it's probably the most important thing for your parents that you marry well. What they want is not that you work hard like a man to get them married. Live in a strange place. Understood? Chuseok looked stunned. You mean, if I marry you, my parents will be happy, right? You're finally smart. Think about it, if your parents left their homeland and came to a strange place where no one else knew them except you, would they really be happy? As long as they are with me, they are happy. Lin Chuxia, let's discuss the matter as it stands. Can we not be stubborn? Who is arguing with you? Chuseok rolled his eyes. Speaking of it, isn't it just to prove that you are doing this for my sake, my parents' sake? In fact, that's the case. Jo Mikang sighed softly. Lin Chuxia, don't think that I just said that I want to marry you because of a moment of loyalty. In fact, after knowing everything my family has done, I have such an idea. If I tell you that I like you from the first meeting, miss you all the time, and want to marry you, then even I won't believe it myself, but you have to believe. Marry me, you will get what you want, everything of Bing, you can go on forever. You don't have to worry about supporting your family, including your parents' pension issues. I will take care of it. Every year, I will accompany you home. At other times, if you want to go home, you can go home. I will take care of the leave for you. I will take care of the travel expenses for you. I will also take care of the expenses. If your parents want to be closer to you, then I will do the buying of a house for them. In a word, marry me, and your wishes can be fulfilled. In addition, you can do some things you want to do. You don't have to worry about which son wants to marry you again, and you don't have to worry about the man who married you will abandon you because you are old. As for those relatives who look down on your parents, from now on they can only envy you for getting married by chance. Lin Chuxia, isn't this exactly your goal? Thinking about it this way, is marrying me a good thing with nothing to lose? Dare to, in his eyes, she became a soldier just to eat well and at the same time abduct a man who can make her eat well. Then, by marrying her, he was saving her? Taking a deep breath, Chuseok said, you mean, you can give me everything except love, right? I will give you love, as long as you are patient. Taking another deep breath, Chuseok tried hard to suppress the anger surging up. Why me? First, you are the only girl who has dared to challenge me over the years. Second, you are the only girl who has learned my identity and still has no thoughts about me. Third, you are the only one who let me. I don't think there is anything wrong with a girl getting married. 4. You are the only girl who was misunderstood by my family, and there are others, I can't think of it for the time being. I'm only 17. It's okay, I'm old enough, as long as I apply, we can get married right away. Chuseok paused. I'm not worried that I won't be able to get married when I'm too young, but I want to know, marrying a 17-year-old girl, you really have no psychological barriers. What's the obstacle? In ancient times, you became a mother so early, and your birthday is the first month, so you can be considered 18 now. Jo Mikang took it for granted. Humph, Chuseok really didn't know what to say. She turned her head out of the window and ignored him. She didn't understand, how could this guy's family be so afraid of him? He is simply a fool with no idea, what is there to be afraid of? Let's settle this matter like this. Write to your parents and ask them for their opinions. We will get married before the end of the year. As for whether you want to continue working in the medical team, it's up to you. However, your body really needs to be exercised. If you can't, just stay in the medical team first, and then consider changing to another place when your body recovers. Listening to Jo Mikang's babbling to himself, the fire that had been suppressed all the way in Chuseok finally rushed to the top of his head, and he yelled suddenly, "Stop!" Crunch. Jo Mikang stepped on the brake reflexively. What's the matter? Chuseok turned around and rushed forward to scratch his head. Oh, I'll beat you to death. Beat you to death. Beat you to death. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 104. The second update arrives, especially thanks to those who support Nuan, and those who voted for 3 reminders. Nuan wants to update at the third update. I am not capable enough, forgive me. The head of the group, Tongzi, who was used to seeing big scenes, was beaten up by Chuseok. Moreover, his nose was bruised and his face was swollen. Well, he mainly didn't expect the thin little girl to have such great power. He originally thought that what he did was a bit unreasonable, so let her vent without fighting back. He never thought that the backlog of anger would reach a certain level. The little girl is so strong and frightening. When he realized something was wrong, his face was already swollen. Wiping the blood at the corner of his mouth in the mirror, and then looking at the bruises at the corner of his eyes, Jo Mikang smiled helplessly. Hey, you hate me so much? If I don't pull you away, do you want to beat me to death? It's what you deserve for beating to death. You asked for it. The words were harsh, but the tone sounded a little weak. Well, she was really angry just now, but after she really stopped, she also felt that she had passed portion. If she hadn't let her, how could she have a bruised nose and a swollen face? With his appearance like this, he will be ashamed to see others, right? Thinking of this, she gloated a little. She deserved it. Let him be overbearing. Let him disrespect human rights. That's right, I really asked for it myself. Who told me to pick and choose, and just pick a daughter-in-law like you? Jo Mikang sighed. However, I only have such a temper, and it's up to me to decide. Son, it will not change. Even if I find out that you have a tendency to violence, I will not change my mind. I have already let you come to my house and said that I want to marry you in front of my family. I will not break my promise. Don't worry. The corners of Chuseok's mouth twitched, with obvious disdain on his face. It's all this time, and talking is still so annoying. The original trace of guilt disappeared immediately. Lin Chuxia. Now that the car had stopped, Jo Mikang was not in a hurry to start again. Instead, he stared at her seriously. You have to understand that we can't back down when things have come to this point. Why? Chuseok looked unconvinced. Your family has already stated that they will not force you again. You believe it, but I don't. Jo Mikang shook his head. They were in that situation, they had to say that, within a month, maybe they can stop pushing me on it. However, As long as we are out for a month, my mother and my sister-in-law will definitely go back to their old ways. If they can't find another target by then, they will still target you. Instead of letting them toss again and again, everyone will know what they did in the end. We have to be together, why not settle the matter thoroughly? As I said just now, you marry me. All benefits and no harm. Lin Chuxia. As far as your family is concerned, the family conditions are not very good. You can't marry, I won't say the reason, you will understand later. I admit that besides the reasons I mentioned above, I also like your appearance very much. At the same time, I also want to make it clear that I treat you well not because you look like my little sister. When I met you for the first time, your personality reminded me of my little sister, but the looks of the two of you are completely different. Although I didn't see you a few times later, I also know that the personality, you and my younger sister, is also very different. However, you have one thing in common, that is, you are casual and not utilitarian. To be honest, I don't like girls who are vain and vain. As for love, Lin Chuxia, it's all written by literati to bluff people. You still don't like it? Good idea. Chu Xia frowned slightly. What you mean inside and outside the words is that when I marry you, I am the one who climbed the ladder. That's right, when I marry you, I am the one who climbed the ladder. But, please don't tell me how much I took advantage of. It seems that I don't want to take advantage of this kind of cheapness. I also believe that marriage is a reality, and I have no fantasy that there will be a Prince Charming to save me, but at this age, can I be allowed to have a little expectation of marriage? My mother told me that my appearance is a bit flattering. Ordinary people don't want to marry someone like me. To stop some meaningless people from giving birth to meaningless thoughts. And when I promised to be engaged to Ludo Hunky, I didn't really plan to marry him. I even planned to break up with Ludo Hunky when I was admitted to university. I told him about this, but I didn't expect it. Mistake, assuming the pro was not really implemented. So, Captain Joe, I'm not as innocent as you imagined. I'm really a selfish girl, you just don't see my bad side now. I know this. You know, Chu Xia's eyes widened in disbelief. How do you know? I know all about what happened to you, including the Shui family's forced marriage. Zhou Mikang spread his hands. Don't think too much, I didn't have any thoughts about you at that time, I was just worried about what happened with your parents. I have the same problem. If you don't want to be ruined by others, arrange for someone to report your news to me in time. However, even Han Liang didn't know about this matter. Speaking of it, Shui Ligong was lucky. If Han Liang and Mei Li didn't participate in this matter, I would never let him be imprisoned so comfortably. What exactly are you thinking about me? Chu Xia looked confused. To be honest, at your age, I believe that it is impossible to really like me all at once. However, what you did made me think too much. You said that you were afraid that I would be ruined by others. Just imagine, there are many girls like me. Is it possible that when you meet one, you should pay attention to one? Can I interpret your words as jealousy? Zhou Mikang smiled. Lin Chuxia, don't hide it. In fact, you like me. Can this man stop being so arrogant? Chu Xia stared at him with a headache. I'm talking about business. To be honest, I don't know. It is because of this that I am so determined to marry you, Lin Chuxia. I don't want to wait until one day when I understand, but I have already missed it. Zhou Mikang's expression was inexplicable dim. Life can't stand too much waiting. Have you ever been hurt emotionally? Chu Xia blinked her big eyes with curiosity on her face. That's right, at your age and with such good conditions, it's impossible that you haven't met a girl you like, so why did you break up? What? Is it because of you or because of her? Do you still miss her even now? Zhou Mikang started the car without saying a word. Chu Xia looked at him a few times, and made a conclusion on his own. I understand, you married me because you knew that if you married me, you could give me something in return. In this way, even if you can't give me your heart, I won't feel guilty either. If you marry a girl from a family background similar to yours, you simply cannot compensate the other party outside of your relationship. Then you will feel very guilty, that's right. That's it. However, it's a shame to live with a man who doesn't care about me for the rest of his life. I believe that in time, I will be able to make myself full and live well. As for my parents, I will definitely make them happy. Can you shut up? No need, Chusia raised his eyebrows, I have the right to speak. Jo Mikang. Unless you take back what you said today, otherwise, I won't shut up. Don't be shy. I won't laugh at you if you pretend to be someone else. This just shows that you are a man of affection, right? Look at you, it's so embarrassing. If I have an unforgettable relationship, I will definitely share it with you. Unfortunately, I haven't met it yet, hey. If you don't speak, you will acquiesce. It seems that the girl's position in your heart is quite important. By the way, you don't want to talk to your father, do you have something to do with that girl? Squeal. The car stopped suddenly, and Jo Mikang stared at Chusia with a red face. I won't say anything, I really won't. Seeing his eyes clearly, Chusia was terrified, begging for mercy repeatedly. I don't have anyone else in my heart. Taking a deep breath, Jo Mikang continued, the breakup of my relationship with my father has nothing to do with Dai Rao. Dai Rao, Chusia murmured, and quickly retracted her neck in fright. I didn't hear it, I didn't hear anything. Regiment commander, please send me back to the military area. Lin Chuxia, go back and think about it. I'll give you 3 days to think about it. Yu sighed, and Jo Mikang's face softened. I don't miss you either, but as I said, some things can't stand the wait. You can rest assured that I married you not for the reasons you said. If you can trust me, marry me. What I can guarantee is that if I marry you, I will be responsible to you. Okay, I will think about it. Chusia quickly nodded, I promise, I will think about it very, very seriously. 3 days later, I will wait for you in the office. Don't worry, no matter what your answer is, I will not let my family harass you in the future. Also, you are a soldier based on your own ability. Anyone they have no right to drive you home for no reason. Is he assuring her that he will not use his power to fire her? Chusia was stunned for a moment, and quickly nodded, okay, I understand it, I really understand it, you are a good person, I am sure, from now on, I will not scold you or beat you up. Seeing his twitching expression, she paused in embarrassment. What did she say? Sure enough, the problem of talking nonsense when excited, still hasn't changed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 105. One more. Hey, Miss Lin is back. As soon as Chusia entered the door of the dormitory, Yuan Mengmeng said sourly, what good meal did the captain invite you to eat? Chusia, who was in a bad mood, didn't have the time to talk to her, didn't even look at her, went straight to his bed, bent over and took out the wash basin from under the bed. Het. Yang Zili sneered, put down the book in her hand and looked at Yuan Mengmeng. You also want to enjoy this treatment? It's simple, just run away tomorrow morning. Yuan Mengmeng, who felt ashamed, had a flash of resentment in his eyes. He watched Chusia approaching him, stretched his legs, and the corner of his mouth curled up with a hint of complacency. What? The miserable howl sounded in the third-class dormitory in an instant. Chusia didn't look back, and left the dormitory with her head held high. Damn woman, you wait for me. Yuan Mengmeng arched his body into a shrimp shape, rubbing his painful toes, with a painful expression on his face. Unexpectedly, that skinny and lonely girl who fainted after running for a few laps would be so painful to step on someone. Let me see. Chi Jihong leaned over with his big eyes blinking suddenly. Swollen? Look at you, you can't lose money by stealing chickens, right? Tisk tisk. Yuan Mengmeng glared at her bitterly. Are you so happy to see me suffer? No, no, how can I be happy when you suffer? I just want to remind you to use your brain more when you do things in the future, and don't always do this kind of thing that shoots yourself in the foot. Humph, Yuan Mengmeng snorted coldly, and continued to rub his feet with a gloomy expression. Why are you always in trouble? Yang Xiaoli glanced at her disappointedly, although Qi Jihong's words are not pleasant, but they hit your vital point. Think carefully, why are you always in trouble? Yuan Mengmeng frowned tightly. I just can't understand how the captain favors her in everything. We are all recruits, so why do we always treat her special? Lin Mengran playing checkers with Chu Xiaojing. She curled her lips. You don't like it? Is this really it? Hey, what do you mean? Yuan Mengmeng stared at her displeasedly. Could it be that you thought the captain would treat you nicely if you flattered Lin Chuxia? What a dream. I'm just talking about the facts. Lin Mengran glanced at her leisurely. Let me ask you, there are 10 girls in our dormitory. Which one is the prettiest? Please answer me realistically. The most beautiful one is of course Xiaoli, Yuan Mengmeng said firmly. Yang Xiaoli is 1.73 meters tall, slender, and beautiful, and indeed she is not ugly, but it is a bit far-fetched to say that she is the most beautiful. Lin Mengran's mouth curled into a smile. Do you really think so in your heart? Of course, Yuan Mengmeng looked at her mockingly. Could it be that you think that you are the prettiest? It's better not to be too arrogant for your small stature. Lin Mengran shook her head with a funny face. Of course I don't think I'm the prettiest, but I also believe that you don't think Yang Xiaoli is the prettiest in your heart. With your personality, you must think that you should be the prettiest. It's the prettiest, right? You're talking nonsense. Am I talking nonsense? You should know it in your heart. And what I said is, you think you should be the best looking, but in fact you know it very well. Whether you want to admit it or not, Lin Chuxia is prettier than you. Girls, when we first met, most of them would repel girls who were prettier than themselves, especially if you were jealous. However, Lin Chuxia is not the only one who is prettier than you. It's just that you don't dare to do anything with other people, so you pick her as a soft persimmon first, but it's a pity that you are splashed dirty by the persimmon soup every time. Yuan Mengmeng, be more considerate, instead of always being jealous of others and doing some unsightly little tricks. It is better to work hard and make yourself dazzling. Are you mentally ill? Yuan Mengmeng frowned and stared at Lin Mengran. Just Lin Chuxia, she looks better than me. Are your eyes okay? I hope there is something wrong with my eyes. Lin Mengran smiled and said nothing. Why did you do this? Yang Xiaoli stared at Lin Mengran seriously. I don't think it's necessary for you to curry favor with Lin Chuxia, nor do I think you really appreciate her. You're right. I don't need to please Lin Chuxia, and I don't appreciate her. I even dislike her as a drag in the class. However, this does not prevent me from judging this matter fairly. If Yuan Mengmeng continues to do this, it will only be the third class who will be ashamed, and the third class will be ashamed, and each of us will lose face. I don't care what the relationship between the three of you is, but if you just want to hold back class 3, don't think I didn't remind you. Lin Mengran's figure was very petite, just over 1.6 meters, but Yang Xiaoli had to face up to the aura she unconsciously exuded when she said these words. What does your family do? Come here, I'm just a soldier. What does my family do? Does it matter? Okay, what are you pretending to be? You're just a country bumpkin. Why do you hit me? Yuan Mengmeng stared at Chu Xiaojing standing in front of her in disbelief. She came with a slap. This skill. If you dare again. Xiaojing, Lin Mengran frowned and interrupted Chu Xiaojing, and smiled faintly at Yuan Mengmeng. She is my best friend, she grew up with bare buttocks, and the thing she hates the most is being scolded by others. I bullied me, and you have seen her skill, so when your face is itchy in the future, you can provoke me as much as you want. This is so irritating. Yuan Meng's face was suffocated, and Zishang opened his mouth for a long while without uttering a word. The well water doesn't interfere with the river water, right? Yang Xiaoli said after staring at Lin Mengran for a long time. Don't do things that damage the collective honor, don't provoke me for no reason, I won't target you. Lin Mengran chuckled. I know, you are not convinced to be the vice squad leader, you must be holding back if you want to compete for the position of squad leader. Don't worry, I won't compete with you, and neither will Xiaojing. Okay. Yang Xiaoli nodded, looked at Yuan Mengmeng, apologized to Lin Mengran. I had a face full of reluctance. I don't force it. Yang Xiaoli picked up the book and stopped looking at her. But when Chu Xia arrived in the bathroom, Luo Xiaoxian hurriedly spat out the toothpaste foam in her mouth, and greeted her. Chu Xia, why did the captain look for you? Why did you come back now? Squad leader Chiao took me, Mei Jun, and Daodu to the captain's office to look for you. But the captain's office is locked, and I'm so anxious. At this time, Chiao Ning'ai, Lu Meijun, and Yun Daodu also greeted them, looking at Chu Xia with a trace of worry. As for Sun Shangmei, who was washing her face, she snorted from her nostrils and moved her hands slowly. It was clear that she was also curious. There are also some members of other classes who also intentionally or unintentionally stopped their movements and raised their ears. Chu Xia smiled. It's okay, the team leader came to me just to have a heart-to-heart talk, because I'm not in good health, so let me work harder than others, so don't hold back the team. Luo Xiaoxian also stopped asking, oh, then you should wash your face and brush your teeth quickly, I will wait for you. Lin Chuxia, what did I tell you on the way here? Sun Shangmei walked up to Chuxia with a basin in her hand, with a look of disdain on her face. I fainted after running for a few laps, you really embarrassed our hunky commune. It's over. After finishing speaking, she took the basin and left with a boom boom boom. Nervous. Hunky commune is her father, Luo Xiaoxian couldn't help muttering. Chu Xia, you can't rush about your health. No matter whether the captain puts pressure on you, or what the team members say, you have to do what you can. Chiao Ning I patted Chu Xia on the back, I go back first. Thank you, Monitor, Chu Xia hurriedly said. The squad leader is really good, Yun Daodu said with a smile. Lu Meijun nodded in agreement. Yeah, I also like her quite a bit, and I hope that she will still be the class monitor during the selection competition. I agree with your opinion. I ran with us all night today and didn't complain. It's really good. Luo Xiaoxian poked Chu Xia's lower back with her finger. Yuan Mengmeng spoke ill of you in the room and was reprimanded by the monitor. Meal. After Chu Xia finished rinsing her mouth, she looked at Luo Xiaoxian suspiciously. Squad leader Sun Yuan Mengmeng, she didn't reply. How can I not reply? But the squad leader said that he would take her to the captain, so he was so frightened that he didn't dare to say anything. So that's the case. No wonder Yuan Mengmeng felt so resentful as soon as she entered the door. Thinking of the foot stepped on by her, Chu Xia smiled. Want to bully her? How can it be so easy? What makes it so beautiful? Luo Xiaoxian asked suspiciously. When I entered the door, Yuan Mengmeng also said sour words, but I ignored her. As a result, when I came out, she wanted to trip me. I was prepared and stepped on her foot. Cough, by the way, I crushed it twice, and you can imagine the consequences yourself. You. Lu Meijun rubbed her forehead with a headache. You are so small, why did you provoke her? After that, we will have a long time together. If she bullies you when we are not around, what should I do? Cold salad, Chu Xia said indifferently. I can't be afraid that I won't be able to beat her, so I just let her bully me. I don't believe that she dared to kill me. She doesn't dare to kill you, but she can continue to trip you up, right? You can't be so lucky to find out every time, right? Lu Meijun looked helpless. You two are really friends. Impulse, two impulses, both so reckless. That's enough, the matter is already like this, so don't teach her a lesson. The big deal, I will follow Chu Xia every step of the way, so that Yuan Mengmeng has no chance to make a move. Otherwise, me and Yun Daodu abruptly stopped talking, and smiled unnaturally. I mean, we will try our best to have someone to accompany Chu Xia in the future. I believe Yuan Mengmeng will not dare to go too far. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 106. Although Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoqian didn't know the relationship between Yun Daodu and Johan Liang, but Johan Liang could bring him to report in person, which shows that the relationship between the two is not ordinary. Therefore, when she stopped and changed her words, Josei and the two realized that she wanted to tell Johan Liang about the matter and ask Johan Liang to help solve the matter. Luo Xiaoqian agreed with her doing this, so of course she would not have any objections. After what happened to the Zhou family, Chu Xia especially didn't like to rely on others for everything, but at this time, she couldn't say anything. Lu Meijun didn't know that Yun Daodu and Johan Liang had a close relationship. From Yun Daodu's reluctance to speak just now, and Chu Xia's attitude from Luo Xiaoqian, Lu Meijun has already sensed that she doesn't know any secrets among the three of them, but she is smart. We'll follow up. Then he followed Yun Daodu's words and said, that's right, apart from us, the squad leader will definitely not turn to Yuan Mengmeng. It's not easy for Chu Xia to place orders, so there's really nothing to be afraid of. Tell me, how about Lin Mengran and Chu Xiaojing? Luo Xiaoqian rubbed her head. How come I can't figure out how these two people make me feel? I can't see through them either. Lu Meijun frowned, but it feels like as long as you don't mess with them, nothing will happen. Jun Daodu blinked her big eyes. I just came here, and I don't know anyone except you and the squad leader, so I won't express my opinion. Do you dare to say that you understand us now? Luo Xiaoqian rolled his eyes. It's just that we have only met for less than a day. Do you really dare to say that you understand us? Jun Daodu smiled wryly. Well, I used the words incorrectly, forget it, I won't explain, you understand what I mean. Learn. Chu Xia secretly sighed. Who dares to say who knows who? Some couples live their whole lives without knowing each other. As for friends, if it's not really a matter, no one dares to say who really understands each other. Just like Lu Meijun. Just like Yun Daodu, they have a good relationship with them now, but when they really encounter things related to their interests, will they still turn to them like they are now? Of course, she no longer had the slightest doubt about her relationship with Luo Xiaoqian. Several people returned to the dormitory. It's rare that no one said sour words anymore, and no one made any small moves. When Chu Xia entered the door, she paid special attention to Yuan Mengmeng, who didn't even look at her. This surprised her. Forget it, it's all so cheap. Could it be that Yuan Mengmeng really made trouble for her, so she was happy? Or maybe it was due to mutual mistrust. After entering the dormitory, no one spoke again. The atmosphere in the three-way dormitory was indescribably weird. Hesitate. Xiao Ning clapped her hands. Said, this is the second night we have been here, and there is an hour to turn off the lights. We will hold a temporary class meeting, and everyone will sit down. It's so late, what class meeting is there? Yuan Mengmeng muttered, looking at Yang Zili, seeing that she put down the book in her hand and walked towards the middle of the room, so she followed obediently. After everyone sat in a circle, Xiao Ning said, I know that everyone nowadays is not convinced by anyone, especially for me as the monitor. Maybe there will be a feeling of why such a good thing is her. Fortunately, the squad leader will be re-elected in a short time. At that time, those who are able will live in it. I think everyone will not have to worry about this matter anymore, but now, I am the squad leader of the third class, so of course I have to take the responsibility of the squad leader of the third class. From yesterday's report to today, I believe that the ranking is based on performance. The third class is not the last, and it is definitely the bottom of the crane. Why I say this, everyone should understand in their hearts. I don't want this kind of thing to happen again. The captain also said that if something like this happens again, please just go home. We are a medical team, not a kindergarten. We are a whole, we all prosper, we all suffer. I hope everyone will remember my words. When you do anything, think about it. What you do is not just your own business. In private, you are willing to split into cliques, but during training, this kind of thing must not happen. That's all I want to say. Vice Squad Leader Yang, please add. I have nothing to say. Yang Xiaoli smiled lightly and shook her head. Now my deputy squad leader has a bad name, so I really don't want to say anything. These words are simply naked provocations. What she meant was clearly that Jiaoning Ai's name as the class leader was not justified, and what she said now was because she felt good about herself, and at the same time she was alluding to everyone, so feel free to listen to it or not. Noticing the people's inquiring gazes, the smile on Jiaoning Ai's face didn't fade away, but deepened a bit. Deputy Squad Leader Yang means that the captain should use a loudspeaker to broadcast in the entire military region to be justified. Yang Xiaoli shook her head. I don't dare, I just think that it's really not easy for me to use chicken feathers as an arrow for such a temporary appointment. Of course, this is just my personal opinion. Don't get me wrong, Squad Leader Jiao. I have absolutely no influence on you mean. Okay, I understand what you mean. Jiaoning Ai looked at everyone. Deputy Squad Leader Yang may feel that he is not qualified to be the Deputy Squad Leader. I will report this to the captain tomorrow morning. That's all for tonight's class meeting. I believe everyone understood what I said. Of course, whether you will follow what I said is up to you. But I'm ugly to say before, if someone commits the crime I said, don't blame me for being rude. I'm not qualified to deal with you, but the captain can. Okay, the meeting is over, and those who are tired can rest earlier. Except for the three swordsmen Yang Xiaoli, Yuan Mengmeng, and Qi Jihong. When Jiaoning Ai's voice fell, the others quickly moved the small bench and retreated back to their beds. After glancing at the three of them lightly, Jiaoning Ai went straight back to her berth. After a long silence, Yang Xiaoli got up and went back to bed. Yuan Mengmeng and Xiao Jihong also got up and went back to bed. Chu Xia, who had been quietly observing a few people, curled her lips. If Jiaoning Ai could really bear it, then Yang Xiaoli was simply pretending to be magnanimous. I don't know if there will be internal injuries. At that time, she was sitting in a position where she could observe Yang Xiaoli's movements. When Jiaoning Ai fought back, her nails dug into her flesh fiercely. Chu Xia saw the blood dripping from the side of her bench. This person, can you not bear to say that he is very cruel to himself? How painful. Chu Xia tisk secretly, undressed and lay down under the bed. Anyway, in terms of the current situation, she still hopes that Jiaoning Ai will continue to be the monitor bar. If it was Yang Xiaoli or Sun Shangmei, she would probably be scolded all day long. It's not that she doesn't work hard, but that the conditions don't allow it. God gave her the body of Sister Lin, how could she be as strong as Sister Shui? Although Luo Xiaoxian wanted to ask her a lot, but given the current situation in the dormitory, she didn't dare to ask anything, and, at this late hour, she didn't dare to drag Chu Xia out. With doubts, he lay down in his own position. A new place, a new life. Most of the other dormitories are still chatting with each other after the lights are turned off. There are only 3 shifts, and the only sound of needles dropping is silent. Nothing to say all night. After getting up, everyone was a little calmer than the first day. Wash and assemble. Standing on the playground, it was a quarter of an hour later. Zenmaleigh stood in front of the team and nodded with satisfaction. Yes, everyone's performance today is more than a star and a half better than yesterday. According to the speed of progress, I believe that our medical soldiers will definitely not be worse than ordinary female soldiers. Yes. Today's morning exercise, I circled the playground 3 times, and went to eat after running. All right, let's start. After Zenmaleigh finished speaking, many team members curled their lips quietly. This is clearly to take care of the players with poor experience. Otherwise, how could the more training, the less training volume? Especially Yuan Mengmeng, who immediately turned around and snorted at Chu Xia. That feeling, especially like a horse's nose blowing. Is it because Lin Chuxia passed out yesterday that you adjusted the amount of training? Probably, the leader really took care of her. Yes, I heard that the captain took her out for dinner last night. Real or fake? A team member from Class 5 saw it. Can this be fake? This is too biased. That's it? After running away for a while, the voices of discussion were one after another, and the voices were getting louder and louder. Obviously, most people were envious and jealous of the special treatment Chu Xia received. Luo Xiaoxian glanced worriedly at Chu Xia, who was running forward in silence, and said in a low voice, "Don't pay attention to them, a group of narrow-minded women. Fortunately they are still soldiers. I'm so sorry for the title." "I'm fine," Chu Xia smiled. "If I can't even bear this discussion, how can I get along?" Biting her lips, she had already decided that no matter what, she would give herself extra meals, get out of the discussed situation as soon as possible. Some people are happy and some are worried. At this time, Rao Switongzi is probably the most depressed. She planned to faint today, but it turned out that 5 laps directly changed to 3 laps. Yesterday, 5 laps did not faint. Today, 3 laps Quan actually fainted. Who would believe it? After 3 laps, although it is not very easy for most people, it will definitely not be very tiring. Of course, this is for the vast majority of people. It makes her tired like a dead dog, but it can definitely make her panting like a bellows. Her body is really too cheating. Because it was 3 laps, Luo Xiaoxian accompanied her this time, and she did not refuse. After 3 laps, there were only 5 or 6 sparse people left on the playground, except for the 2 of them. Of course Rao Shui was indispensable. The resentful gaze that the other party shot over from time to time made Chu Xia feel cold all over. She is not Lala, please, don't look at her like that. Good or not? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 107. Normally, Zhou Hanliang would go to the cafeteria with Zhou Mikang for breakfast, but now, he wished to hide Zhou Mikang in outer space, so he would not take the initiative to join him. Instructor, are you going to take back the leader's share? Zhou Hanliang was entangled in an old question from the cafeteria. Is it possible that he really wants to bump into him and get scolded? Being scolded is a trivial matter, but if he is really sent to outer space, it will be a big deal. Well, it is impossible in outer space, but it is still possible to send him to another regiment, or, wait for the leader to disappear. Putting out the fire? Thinking of this, Zhou Hanliang hurriedly said, "No need." His eyes touched the 2 meals that Lao Chang had already packed, and he quickly changed his words, "Give it to me when you're done. I don't plan to do it for now, and I'll talk about it after I finish eating." Lao Chang grinned. "I was startled, I thought you had a conflict with the head of the regiment, he. The 2 recruits were in the same squad, and they still had a good relationship with each other. Even today, their identities are very different. Getting along is still as casual as before. You old man, do you just expect me to be trained by the leader?" Zhou Hanliang glared at him, and walked out with 2 lunch boxes. Usually, he and the leader are inseparable. If he eats in the cafeteria, then, Within a quarter of an hour, the news that he is disliked by the head of the regiment can spread throughout the military region. Alas, bad friend. Lao Chang, who was glanced at by Zhou Hanliang resentfully, immediately got goosebumps all over his body, and he couldn't help guessing in his heart. Hearing that the fifth child, Zhou Hanliang was the fifth child in the same class, had a beautiful girlfriend. Has a girlfriend's personality changed to become more feminine? In other words, the little eyes just now are too attractive. A veteran who came over for lunch poked Lao Chang funnily, "Is it enviable to see the difference between my good brother and myself getting bigger and bigger?" What nonsense. Lao Chang rolled his eyes at him, spooned vegetables for him perfunctorily, and took 2 more rolls. "Go and eat yours." "Hello." The veteran moved closer to him and lowered his voice. "Guess. Why didn't Captain Joe come to the cafeteria to eat today?" "I don't dare to guess about the chief," Lao Chang said with a calm face. "Also, no matter what gossip, don't tell it in front of me." "You." The veteran shook his head helplessly. "It's true that I was bitten by a snake once, and I'm afraid of well ropes for 10 years, okay? If you don't say it, don't say it then." He found an empty table with the food and stretched his neck. "Gossip with others." Zhou Hanliang took the food to the door of Zhou Mikang's office, hesitated for a while, then stepped back to the window and glanced in at the head of the group, Zhai, who was sitting at the desk and reading documents. "Where? Or not? Or go in? Or not?" Seeing someone approaching in the distance, Zhou Hanliang gritted his teeth. Heartbroken, he pushed open the door of the office. "Leader, it's time for dinner." And Zhou Mikang responded without looking up. "Huh? Not angry? He ran away early yesterday, and the head of the group, Tongzi, just let him go? This is not right? Something is very wrong." Zhou Hanliang himself felt that he was a bitch, so it was possible that the regiment leader had to yell at him and beat him up. Then send him to another regiment. Is it right? He stepped forward and put the lunch box on the desk. Zhou Mikang still didn't look up. Head. He was afraid when the leader got angry at him, but he was even more scared when the leader treated him so unkindly. Zhou Hanliang grumbled, "Leader, are you still angry with me?" After waiting for a long time, but did not hear from the other party, Zhou Hanliang rubbed his feet on the ground and said uncomfortably, "Leader, I promise, I will never do this kind of thing again in the future." Still no sound. Zhou Hanliang gritted his teeth, "Leader, after I established a relationship with Daodu, I feel more and more that it is very, very good to have a woman who I can always think about, a woman who makes me willing to talk to each other intimately." Seeing that the group leader treated Lin Chuxia differently from other girls, I was moved. I admitted that I told Madam that I did it on purpose. "I just think that if I'm the only one who pushes you, it's probably useless. If Madam can push you, maybe this thing can really happen. I just thought that there are too few girls who can catch the head's attention, and it's hard to meet one, so I can't let it go like this. But, I assure you, the commander knows nothing of the truth of the matter. It's really a surprise that he got involved this time, and it's also because he cares about you." After being glanced coldly by Zhou Mikang, Zhou Hanliang could no longer speak the words behind him, and after that, his mouth opened wide, and he didn't close it for a long time. Are his eyes okay? What's wrong with the swollen face of the head of the group? The under eye sockets are blue, the nose is scratched, and there are some bloodshot scratches on the brows and cheeks that have scabbed over, but you can tell by scratching with your fingernails. A trace of unease flashed in Zhou Mikang's eyes, and he took the lunch box without saying a word. "Eat." When he came back to his senses, Zhou Hanliang also quietly backed away, sat on the sofa with the lunch box in his hand, and while eating, he sneaked a peek at the leader's tube. Who dares to scratch his face like that? Lady. Unlikely. Well, it is simply impossible. Old lady. Less likely. MRS madam. Impossible. Who else has the guts? Suddenly, the image of the first time I met Lin Chuxia, when the other party glared and forced Tongzi, the head of the team, to apologize. No. No way. Zhou Hanliang took a peek at the head of the group, and then another. He couldn't imagine that his hot and mighty head, the group, was beaten up by a little girl who fainted after running 5 laps. Although Zhou Mikang was eating with his head down, he had a panoramic view of Zhou Hanliang's expression, which made him even more uncomfortable. When he returned to the dormitory last night, he spent most of the night with cold compresses and medication. As a result, when he woke up in the morning, the injury was still so obvious. Such a skinny little girl is too ruthless to beat up. However, when I think about it, I don't think it's surprising. If it weren't for her personality, she wouldn't have left such a deep impression on him when they met for the first time. So far, he really appreciates her more, if you want to talk about love. In his life, it may be difficult for him to be really emotional with a woman. Why don't he just marry a girl he admires? But what will be her final answer? She didn't like him very much, which made him feel a little uneasy about the result 3 days later. If he missed her, the next time, I don't know when it will be. With a chopstick in the air, he suddenly came back to his senses, looked at Zhou Hanliang reflexively, and met the other party's eyes with a narrow smile, and he immediately smirked. Who can eat such a small amount of food? Zhou Hanliang tried his best to suppress a smile. How about I go and make you another lunchbox? No need. Zhou Mikang pushed the lunchbox and glanced at the time. Get ready, let's go. Zhou Hanliang stared at the boss. Are you still going? Why are you so wordy? Zhou Mikang frowned and glanced at him, then turned and walked out. Team leader. Zhou Hanliang held him back anxiously. His face was tangled. You, the wound on your face, is it, to take care of it? After speaking, he shrank his neck unconsciously, and he passed. Zhou Mikang stared at him for a while, then said, I want to know what happened to the injury on my face. Without even thinking about it, Zhou Hanliang quickly shook his head. I don't want to. Really don't want to. In no mood. Really? Zhou Mikang narrowed his eyes dangerously. Are you sure? Zhou Hanliang reacted violently, and hurriedly said, Leader, when I compete with you in the future, I will definitely not play tricks again. Yeah, Zhou Mikang nodded. It's good to know. Pack up your things and go. The medical team's temporary training plan is morning exercises, morning cultural lessons, and afternoon physical training. After half a month, a new training plan will be formulated. After the morning exercises, the team members lined up to go to the big meeting room with a book in hand. For the time being, their classroom is the big meeting room. After sitting down, Zhenmei briefly talked about the classroom discipline and left. I don't know if it was everyone's illusion. Captain Zheng had a feeling of fleeing quickly when he left. Waiting is boring. Luo Xiaoqing suddenly remembered the rumors she heard when she went to the toilet, so she poked Chu Xia and whispered, I heard that Captain Zhou's face was scratched by Instructor Zhou. Cough. 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 Chu Xia choked on his own saliva. Luo Xiaoqing hurriedly patted her on the back. In the morning, someone saw Captain Zhou going to the office with a bruised nose and a swollen face, and thought he was being scratched by his girlfriend. In the end, it was the instructor Zhou who admitted that he lost the contest with Captain Zhou. Convinced, he took advantage of Captain Zhou's inattention and scratched his face. I always thought that Instructor Zhou had a good temper, but I didn't expect him to do such a shrew thing. Tisk tisk, it seems that we should avoid messing with him in the future. As he spoke, he quietly glanced at Yun Daodu, his eyes full of sympathy. Oh, in order to conceal her emotions, Chu Xia didn't dare to say more, and responded without saying anything else. Luo Xiaoqing pouted in displeasure, I hate it. Why are you getting more and more boring? The corners of Chu Xia's mouth twitched. How could this make her interesting? Poor Zhou Hanliang took the blame for her, and it's fine if she can't clarify for the other party. If she follows others to smear the other party, is she still human? This also shows that the relationship between Zhou Hanliang and Zhou Mikang is really strong. Such a scapegoat can be helped. Tisk tisk. Thinking of Zhou Mikang's bruised nose and swollen face, inexplicably, Chu Xia's mood improved a bit. Let you provoke me, make you arrogant, is this lady so easy to provoke? Sorry for keeping everyone waiting. Accompanied by an honest baritone, Jingzhe walked in, smiled at everyone, and stood on the stage. Let me introduce myself, my name is Jingzhe. The next period of time, we'll study with everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 108. Wow. Wow. Wow, there was warm applause. Jingzhe smiled warmly, thank you for your enthusiasm. Next, I will call the names and get to know each other. Women in this era are more reserved, but that doesn't mean they don't have a heart for spring. Jingzhe's appearance just fits the image of Prince Charming in most girls' minds. Therefore, those who were not very active in taking cultural classes all of a sudden sat upright, staring at Jingzhe with burning eyes, and all of them were as serious as elementary school students who have just entered school. Now I've seen some. Luo Xiaoxian muttered in a low voice, curling her lips. The ones she despises the most are women who usually put on a serious face, and whose eyes shine when they see a good-looking man. She didn't understand the other classes. Anyway, the expressions of some of the third class made her feel really unflattered. For example, Sun Shangmei is always in a daze when teaching others a lesson, but now. He stared straight at Jingzhe, almost pounced on him. Another example is Yuan Mengmeng, whose expression is not much different from that of Sun Shangmei. I have to say that your impression of a person determines your perception of her. To be honest, everyone's expressions are similar, but in Luo Xiaoxian's eyes, it is really different. In the first class, after introducing myself and briefly explaining half of the first chapter, it was time for the end of get out of class. This is not a school, and there is no bell for the end of get out of class. However, considering the actual situation, Jingzhe set a class of 50 minutes, a 15-minute break between classes. Teacher, I don't quite understand this place, look. Teacher, what does this place mean? Teacher. Looking at the studious team members rushing over immediately after class, Chu Xia was really speechless. It was only the first chapter. How stupid do you have to have so many questions? In other words, when the leaders arranged the teachers, didn't they think about this problem? Luo Xiaoxian poked her, do you want to go to the bathroom? Chu Xia quickly got up, let's go. Get active. I'll go as well. And I. Lu Meijun and Yun Daodu also followed. In 2 days, the small group of 4 has basically formed. Girls, most of them don't want to be alone. With Lu Meijun's personality, it's normal to choose them as friends. As for Yun Daodu, it was even more normal. When Zhou Hanliang handed her over to the 2 of them, it meant that he had drawn up a small circle for her. Hey. After leaving the door, Lu Meijun sighed quietly, the days to come will probably be even more chaotic. Yeah, Yun Daodu nodded in agreement, it's only the first day. They're all vying for the performance, but that's good, those people don't have the intention to always target Chu Xia. I hope Luo Xiaoxian curled her lips, when Chu Xia fainted, it was this Dr. Jing who took care of her. In other words, Chu Xia was the first one who had been alone with Dr. Jing. A woman's jealousy is unreasonable. Huh. What's wrong with that aunt? Luo Xiaoxian had already rushed out after the words fell. About 100 meters away from several people, an aunt in her 40s was squatting down holding her stomach in pain. "Auntie, what's wrong with you?" Luo Xiaoxiang ran up to her and quickly supported her. "Shall I take you to the military hospital?" The woman pointed at her bag in pain. Luo Xiaoxiang quickly opened it, and there was a small bottle of medicine inside. "This," the woman nodded, motioning for Luo Xiaoxiang to help her pour out the medicine. When Chu Xia and the others ran over, the woman had already swallowed the medicine. After a while, her complexion improved, and she smiled gratefully at Luo Xiaoxiang. "Little comrade, thank you. What's your name?" Hearing this, the corners of Chu Xia's mouth twitched. I used to hear this sentence the most when watching educational films. "Auntie, are you alright?" Luo Xiaoxiang looked her up and down. "Do you want me to take you to the hospital right now?" "No need, it's an old problem, and I didn't expect it to flare up suddenly." Dean Su, a female soldier in her early 20s, ran over with a look of panic on her face. "I've been looking for you everywhere. Why are you here?" "I'm a little bored, I just want to walk around." The woman smiled at the young female soldier and pointed to Luo Xiaoxiang. "Remember the information about this little comrade? She was the one who saved me just now." "Dean, you," the female soldier burst into tears, "it's all my fault, I shouldn't have left you there by yourself." "Okay," the woman patted the female soldier's little hand kindly. "You have 3 urgent needs, and you can't let you follow me, and you can't even go to the toilet, right?" As if thinking of something, the woman looked at Luo Xiaoxiang. "Are you the newly recruited health soldier?" "Yes." Luo Xiaoxiang nodded. "I'm relieved that you're fine. I'll have class later, bye." "Wait," the woman grabbed her. "Come and work by my side, how about it?" "Ah," Luo Xiaoxiang stared at her blankly, not knowing what to say. Who is she? Let her go to work by her side. Is her mind okay? "Thank you, Dean Su." Soon the young female soldier pinched Luo Xiaoxiang anxiously. "Dean Su is the dean of our military region General Academy, and today he is here to inspect the work of the military region." "Xiao Miao, don't be impatient." Dean Su glared at the female soldier, then looked at Luo Xiaoxiang with a smile. "Little comrade, I really like your unruffled performance. If you want, I can help you with the transfer procedures immediately. Exempt your internship period, let Xiao Miao take you for a period of time, and be my assistant directly. If you are interested in medicine, I can also send you to study in the medical school, or just study in this hospital. As for your establishment, I will help you solve it right away. You think about it carefully. I did this not just because you saved me just now, but because I don't want your talent to be buried." Chu Xia was speechless inwardly. A leader is a leader, and his words are absolutely impeccable. If Luo Xiaoxiang really agreed to come down to be her assistant, there would definitely be no such thing as being ridiculed and going through the back door. The sudden news of I confuses Luo Xiaoxiang. It feels like this is a big pie, but if she agrees, she won't be able to take care of Chu Xia. She had promised her parents that she would take care of Chu Xia. "Dean, thank you, but I want to be with Chu Xia." "Really, my child, will your words be misunderstood? Are you thinking of letting people choose one and get one free?" Dean Su chuckled. "What a loyal little comrade. Who is Chu Xia?" My name is Lin Chuxia." Chuxia hurriedly stepped forward. "Dean, we grew up together, don't take her words seriously, she was knocked out by the good news, I don't know what to say." "Do not." What Luo Xiaoxiang said later was pinched back by Chu Xia's paw. "Dean, do you think this will work?" Give Xiaoxiang a little time to think about it and ease her turbulent mood. "Okay. Okay, okay, I'm in a hurry." Dean Su waved his hands at several people. "We'll talk about it another day. Xiao Luo, I'll let Xiao Miao look for you, think about my proposal carefully." "What she said is true," Luo Xiaoxiang said incredulously after Dean Su and Xiao Miao walked away. "It seems to be true." Chu Xia patted her. "It's a good thing, Xiao Qian, I knew that you are a blessed one. Go, Following her is definitely better than staying here and developing. Chuxia is too aware of the importance of relationships and connections. Although she still doesn't quite understand why Dinsu is so fond of Xiaoxian, but, thinking about this era and Luo Xiaoxian's identity, I believe that going to the general hospital of the military region will definitely not suffer a disadvantage. Xiaoxian was the first good friend she recognized, and she was reluctant to return, but when the other party had better development, she was determined not to stop him. Especially, when the other party has no ability to think clearly about which choice is best for her, she has to check it out for the other party, not to say that she is much better than the other party, but after all, she lived in an era ahead of this era. The future development trend is more clear. If Dinsu is looking for her, she will never refuse. However, judging from Dinsu's expression just now, Luo Xiaoxian is the only person he likes. It may be okay to use her as a headdress, but she has her pride, so let's forget about making this kind of headdress. Yeah, Xiaoxian, what Chuxia said is right, this kind of opportunity is very rare, you should cherish it. Besides, the general hospital of the military region is not far from our place, we can visit you when we are resting, and you can also watch it when you are resting us. Lu Meijun also persuaded. Xiaoxian, you are not from City A, so you may not know the position of the general hospital of the military region in everyone's minds. Let's put it this way, even if this opportunity is presented to the mayor's daughter, she has to think carefully about it. Yun Daodu, what I said may be a bit exaggerated, but it is very vividly explained that this opportunity is really rare. Really that good? Luo Xiaoxian was even more confused. All of this, to her, was like a dream. 1 minute, she was still in class, and the next minute, such a big pie fell on her. With the analysis of several people, she also understands that if she really obeys the arrangement of Dinsu, then her future will definitely not be worse than these comrades. However, when her eyes fell on Chuxia, she hesitated again. She had already lost her loyalty once. That time, she almost lost this friend. This time, Chuxia didn't know that what she was thinking of was the matter of changing her name, but when she was still hesitating, she said, after all, this is your own business, we are just giving you a reference, and we don't force you. Think about it. After finishing speaking, she secretly realized that they are really friends. She has to consider whether to marry Zhou Mikang these 2 days, and Luo Xiaoxian also faces a difficult choice. Thinking about it this way, isn't it a little dissatisfying for her not to tell Luo Xiaoxian what happened between herself and Zhou Mikang? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 109. Father, Mother. Greetings. Are my parents getting used to the days when I'm not at home? I know that my father and mother must miss me a lot, and I also miss my father and mother very much. Everything about me in the army is fine, I live well, eat well, and my parents don't have to worry about it. Now we study in the morning and train in the afternoon, my parents don't have to worry about my body, the physical training of medical soldiers is not as strict as that of ordinary female soldiers, I can't bear it at all. During the lunch break, when Chuxia was lying on the stool to write a letter home, Luo Xiaoxian poked her head over to take a look, curled up into a ball trembling all over. Chuxia stopped writing and gave her a white look. What's wrong with you? It took Luo Xiaoxian a long time to calm down, and whispered into her ear, is it still completely bearable? Do you think the second uncle and the second aunt will believe this kind of lie? Everyone believes except you. Chuxia gave her a white look, and simply put away the letter paper. Xiaoxian, I'm waiting for you to promote me, so, go. The smile on Luo Xiaoxian's face faded little by little. Chuxia, do you really want me to go? Yes, Chuxia nodded affirmatively. After the training of the medical soldiers is over, they will be assigned to the military region general hospital for a period of internship. At that time, we can still meet every day. Do you think I'm a deserter like this? In Chuxia, I have already broken my promise once, and I don't want to make the same mistake again. I promised my parents, my second uncle, my aunt, and Luo Xiaoxian's cheeks were stained blushing. He paused for a while before saying, and your elder brother, I have to take good care of you, last time. Chu Xia interrupted her, the matter of changing the name is really a dead end, but because of that time, I have figured out everything. Don't you think that I am much more sensible now than I was then? It's much more sensible than before, but... No, but, Xiaoxian, I can't rely on you to take care of me for the rest of my life. You have your life. I also have mine. So, you can't give up your own opportunities because of me. If Dean Su is looking for me this time, I will choose to work beside her without hesitation. I will think so myself, and of course I won't blame you. Also, later. Maybe I can also be assigned to the general hospital. If you become an official at that time, you can take better care of me, unless you are afraid of others gossiping and don't want to take care of me. After a long silence, Luo Xiaoxian nodded solemnly, okay. I'll listen to you. You can't just take care of Chu Xia, but also me. Lu Meijun, who had been listening to the two talking, came over. Okay, no problem. Luo Xiaoxian patted her chest. Thump. I'll go to the front and wait for you. What's the matter? Yun Daodu, who came back from the outside, asked curiously. Xiaoxian has decided to go to the general hospital. Lu Meijun's voice was a little high when she said this, and the eyes of the others all shot over. Chu Xia stroked her forehead with a headache. If she had known earlier, she would not have discussed this matter with Luo Xiaoxian right now. The matter has not yet been fully settled. Everyone knows the trouble. It's really not a good idea. Alas, Lu Meijun is still too naive. Luo Xiaoxian is going to the general hospital. Qi Jihong blinked his big eyes. With a look of doubt on his face, which main hospital? We have already arranged the final assignment before we finish studying. It's the general hospital of our military region, 401 hospital. Lu Meijun looked proud, as if she was lucky enough to be a member of the general hospital. Go to 401? Did you make a mistake? Qi Jihong was shocked. Her father is a bureau-level cadre in City A. It is impossible to get her in. What is Luo Xiaoxian's origin? After Lu Meijun clarified the ins and outs of the matter, Qi Jihong and Yuan Mengmeng looked at Luo Xiaoxian with a layer of jealousy in their eyes. They followed Yang Xiaoli obsessively, in order to finally arrange the work in the general hospital. To think that a country bumpkin who has nothing to do with it will have such shit luck. Seeing that Sun Shangmei, Qiao Ning'ai, Lin Mengran and Chu Xiaojing all looked indifferent, Yuan Mengmeng couldn't hold back his breath. Hey, don't you guys know what the general hospital is? Let me tell you this, if you can enter the general hospital, regardless of gender, you can only pick others, and there is absolutely no chance of being picked. Wherever you go, you will be looked up to. This time, Sun Shangmei's face became brighter. She really didn't understand what was going on with 401 just now, but now she heard what Yuan Mengmeng said, and she immediately became unbalanced. Luo Xiaoxian, when you arrive at a new place, you must perform well, and you must not lose face to our hunky commune. Dare she be the spokesperson of the hunky commune? Chu Xia was speechless. This Sun Shangmei, if she doesn't pretend, she will die. Who are you? Luo Xiaoxian cast a white glance at Sun Shangmei. I'll just say it when I'm jealous, and say something in a weird way. You don't think I'm ashamed, but I'm ashamed. Don't get complacent too early. If you don't know what to say, you will forget it when you go back. Sun Shangmei snorted coldly, I'm blowing my hair out. Don't blame me for not reminding you when you can't finish the game. How can you not count what Dean Su personally promised? How can you just talk about it with such a high-ranking cadre? When Sun Shangmei said this, Lu Meijun regretted her quick talk. She believed that a senior official like Dean Su should not be able to say nothing, But everything has accidents. If Josei fails to go to the general hospital and is laughed at by others, she will be a sinner. Okay, don't talk about it. Before this matter is announced, you are not allowed to go out and talk nonsense. Jiaoning I stood up. The third class is a collective. I hope everyone will remember this sentence. Beep beep. When the assembly whistle blew, everyone hurriedly packed up and ran out. Relax. Stand at attention. Zenmaleigh was very satisfied that everyone arrived within 5 minutes. She praised a few words out of the ordinary, and then led the team to the playground for the first formal training after the medical soldiers reported. Stand at attention, take a rest, walk in unison, and salute. It's boring, but it's not as simple as everyone thinks it is. Shueizioki, are you saluting, or are you possessed by Monkey King? Everyone followed Zenmaleigh's line of sight, and saw a female soldier holding her left hand to her right ear solemnly, coax. The scene immediately exploded. The female soldier's face was flushed, and she quickly changed her right hand. She was nervous, but raised her left ear. Ha ha ha. This time, the laughter was even bigger. In the afternoon, this kind of fun is endless. For example, if you stand at attention and do a lot of work, some people will not distinguish between left and right feet. Several times during the process, Zenmaleigh was bent over by Xiao Xiao. She was not a strict person, so the atmosphere at the scene became more lively. Chu Xia has received military training in high school and college, so although she is not physically fit, doing this basic movement is very formal. Whenever Zenmaleigh's eyes fall on her, she will show a slight surprise. Among the female soldiers at the scene, apart from Jiaoning Ai and Lin Mengran, Wang Qing from Class 5, and Su Yuran from Class 7, Chu Xia's actions were regular. As the captain, Zenmaleigh of course knew that the real identities of those in front were the children of military families. In this way, Chu Xia was the best performing female soldier among all the female soldiers. After dinner, Zenmaleigh boldly went to Zhou Mikang's office. Zhou Mikang, who just came back from practice, was having dinner with Zhou Hanliang. Seeing Zenmaleigh come in, Zhou Hanliang greeted with a smile, "Meili, do you want to eat more?" "Director Zhou, why are you so talkative?" "I just want to eat, and I have to eat." "Here you are." Zenmaleigh looked around, "Is there anything for me to eat?" "If you want to eat, I'll go to the cafeteria to serve it for you now." Zhou Hanliang stood up while talking, and said that this day, except for business, the regiment leader Tongzi didn't say a word to him, and he wanted to run away quickly. Zenmaleigh was also polite, "Okay, I want to eat 2 more bean paste buns, please guide Zhou." "Okay." The voice fell, and Zhou Hanliang had already arrived at the door. The brows of the group leader's Heiza twitched slightly, but he continued to pick the food in the lunchbox without raising his head. "Third brother." Zenmaleigh, who sat down for a long time and was not answered, had to speak by herself, "I came here to report a very strange thing to you. Let's talk about Lin Chuxia. She grew up in the countryside and didn't what kind of military training has she received, but she is the most standard in basic movements today. Third brother, do you think it is unusual?" "Third brother, Dean Su has taken a fancy to Luo Zioxian today. She may be transferred to the general hospital, but she recommended Lin Chuxia to Dean Su. Maybe Lin Chuxia will also be transferred to the general hospital." Still no sound. Zenmaleigh didn't care whether the other party paid attention to her or not, and told Luo Zioxian's encounter on her own. "Third brother, you also know that Dean Su always hates going through the back door, but this time she actually invited Luo Zioxian in person. It seems that she is I really like her. Third brother, give me some feedback, will it work?" "What reaction do you want?" Zhou Mikang glanced at her lightly. "What do you say have anything to do with me?" This time, it was Zenmaleigh's turn to be speechless. "Okay, don't worry about this matter, I know a lot." Zhou Mikang waved his hand, "Go do your own work, Don't come here to be an eyesore. Third brother, Zenmale's eyes were red with anger, and she said, who is she doing for? Not to mention her efforts are not flattering, and she is also a double-faced person. Up to now, she dare not look at Lin Chuxia directly. What is she planning on her? Aren't you tired after a busy day? Zhou Mikang frowned. Go to bed early. Third brother, you can say that you care about people like this, you really do it. Zenmale is definitely the kind of person who will act obediently when she gets a bargain, and leans her head forward. Can you tell me the truth, the wound on your face, was it really Instructor Zhou who scratched it? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 110. Third brother, I'm tired, I'm going back to sleep. Zenmale was so frightened by Zhou Mikang's cold glance, she got up and walked out quickly. Third brother, you should also go to bed earlier. When she walked out of the door, a smile appeared on the corner of Zhou Mikang's lips. Of course, the person he likes must have something special. What's so unexpected about it? It's so rare. Well, he had to admit that he was really flattered in his heart. He never expected that thin little girl to really embarrass him. Head, Zhaizi, you are really affectionate enough. After lunch the next day, Chu Xia was summoned by Zenmale again. This was the first time the two of them were together alone since they left Zhou's house that day. Zenmale smiled embarrassedly. Lin Chuxia, it's really not me looking for you today, it's the teacher looking for you. Let's go, I'll take you there. The division commander is the little uncle of the regiment leader Tongzi. Chu Xia knew about this, and couldn't help but secretly slander her. She was too bullying, and she was just a little soldier, so why send out such a big leader to suppress her? It seems that what Zhou Mikang said is right. The elders in his family said that they would stop interfering. Xiaolin, don't be restrained, drink water. Teacher Tongzi looked at Chu Xia sitting opposite him with a smile, with a kind face on his face, and poured a glass of water for Chu Xia himself. Zenmale was kicked out by him. As for his guards, of course they were also kicked out. So, there are only him and Chu Xia in the office now. It would be a lie to say that I was not nervous at all. After all, she has an absolute disadvantage in the next question to be discussed. Leader Zhou Mi said that he won't force me, but give me 3 days to think about it. Before Su Zhenghong could say anything, Chu Xia first revealed the agreement between him and Zhou Mikang. Xiaolin, I know, you are young. You are still a little bit repulsive to things like marriage. You are also a little repulsive to people who bring up this topic. I asked you to come here, just to give you an analysis of this matter, absolutely not to force you, Xiaolin. Your family is not here. As the teacher of Division A, I have an obligation and a responsibility to temporarily assume the responsibility of the elders. Chu Xia pouted quietly. This tune. The singing is really high enough. The marriage of Captain Zhou. It was indeed something that Zhou's parents and seniors were more anxious about. This child devoted all his attention to study and work since he was a child, and as a result, he delayed his lifelong event. If he accepted a girl easily like other boys, he wouldn't be unmarried by now. I must tell you the truth. You are the only girl he has treated differently in the past 5 years. His character. You can rest assured that you will never have any crooked thoughts or playful minds. Marrying him is something that many girls dream about. Unfortunately, marriage requires fate. On the other hand, for the sake of the country and the development of the country, Captain Zhou delayed himself to such an advanced age. Su Zhenghong's eloquent and simple to understand narration shaped Zhou Mikang into a hero who threw his head and blood for the country and the people, and never entered the house 3 times. Listening to his chatter, Chu Xia felt that if she didn't marry Zhou Mikang, she would be an unpatriotic counter-revolutionary. At the same time, Zhou Mikang and Lin Yangkai were also having another negotiation over the phone. President Su's business was arranged by you, right? He, son, you flatter your mother too much. I don't have that ability. It's not like you don't know what kind of temper your Aunt Sue has. Besides, who would make fun of your own body? Not that capable, Joe Mikang sneered. I didn't say anything. How did you know that Dean Sue made fun of his body? Mom, is it possible that in your eyes, my IQ is at the same level as a dog's? He Lin Yang sneered. Son, how can you say that about yourself? Mom is trying to help you in a disguised form. Mom can see that you really like Lin Chuxia. But son, regardless of whether you and Lin Chuxia are successful or not this time, Mom really won't force you anymore. Also, your grandma seems a little dissatisfied with Lin Chuxia, so you have to be mentally prepared. Joe Mikang said bluntly, you don't need to change the subject to whitewash yourself. Mimi, Mom didn't cleanse herself, Mom is just reminding you, lest Chuxia suffer from your grandma's loss and lose your temper with you, you brat. Besides Mom thinking about you so much, there is also who would be so considerate of you. By the way, there is also your father. Before leaving yesterday, your father told your grandparents that no matter who you are looking for, the family members are not allowed to interfere. Even if you are a beggar, you should marry happily come in. Your father said, your vision is absolutely fine, no matter where the hero comes from, or the daughter-in-law, as long as you are optimistic, there must be something extraordinary, and in the future, you will never go wrong. Finished. Hey, even though she couldn't see it through the phone line, Lin Yang still smiled flatteringly. It's almost finished. Let me declare again, no matter whether it is good intentions or malicious intentions, you are not allowed to interfere in the affairs between Lin Chuxia and me. Don't think I didn't say my ugly words first. Beep beep beep. Listening to the blind voice coming from the receiver, Lin Yang smiled wryly. Is she Lao Tzu, or is he Lao Tzu? Why does he always train her? After thinking for a while, she dialed the phone number of her good friend Su Xinling, the Dean Su of the 401 People's Liberation Army Hospital. Hearing the familiar greeting from the other party, she hurriedly said, Xinling, Mimi knows that I'm meddling in this matter. How did he say? Give me a hard time, and tell me not to interfere in his and Lin Chuxia's affairs in the future. Xinling, do you think I am my father or he is my father? Hey. Dean Su smiled lightly. One day, sooner or later, he will understand your heart. I met that girl, she looks weak and weak, she should be obedient, congratulations first. I haven't written my horoscope yet, what are you congratulating? Listening to what Mimi said, the girl doesn't want to, alas. I don't understand, how can she look down on my such an excellent son? Tell me, how many girls are crying and wanting to marry into our family? Which one's family conditions are not better than hers? If it weren't for Mimi's bare temper, I wouldn't be bothered to worry about it. Okay, are you jealous? Dean Su said teasingly, your son suddenly protects a strange girl, don't you feel particularly uncomfortable? Go, am I the person you said? If that's the case, I won't worry about it. My old lady doesn't want to see that girl. It really made it happen, the old lady said you are not allowed to blame me, you have the nerve to wrong me. Yang Kaiu, let me be serious with you. When your son has a wife, you have to learn to get used to him being nice to his wife. Also, you have to learn to be nice to his wife. Only in this way will he treat you better. My eldest son is already married, so I don't need you to give me education classes here. I'm in a panic. I want to talk to you. Can't you say something nice? What I said is useful to you, whether you admit it or not. The fact is that you are anxious to let the third son find a wife, but also jealous from the bottom of your heart that the third son is good to his future wife. The boss has a lively temper, is close to everyone, and talks a lot, so he is good to his wife, and you are very adaptable, but the third is different, he is indifferent to everyone, and now suddenly he cares so much about a girl, your jealousy is also understandable. But, fortunately, you have not been dazzled by jealousy, otherwise, you would not have asked me to help you, but I am not completely helping you. That Luoxian has very good conditions, he is well trained, and he is a promising person. By the way, do you want to consider transferring your future daughter-in-law to the general hospital? Looking at her body, it's really enough for her to drink a pot in the medical team. Don't, Lin Yangqiu hurriedly refused. If you transfer Lin Chuxia, how can my son chase after his daughter-in-law? Sigh, what's wrong with her? Why do you look down on my son? In the office, Zhou Mikang stroked his forehead in confusion. Ever since Zheng Meili came to report that Dean Su had taken a fancy to Luo Xiaoxian, he knew that this should be his mother's action. His mother and Dean Su are best friends who can wear a pair of pants. For his mother, he hates going through the back door. Dean Su, it is normal to go through the back door. Of course he understood what the two women meant. Isolate Lin Chuxia, leaving her with no one to rely on, so she will naturally rely on him. However, marrying Lin Chuxia in this way. Coming out of Su Zhenghong's office, Chu Xia was in a depressed mood, so she didn't go back to the dormitory directly, but strolled to the playground. She wanted to be alone and think about it. She admitted that marrying Zhou Mikang, if only from the point of view of marriage, she is overrated. She wanted to marry a good family and make her parents live comfortably, but she never thought of marrying a family with such a huge difference in background. With such a disparity, how could there really be room for her to speak? She could even foresee that when she got married, she would be a puppet in that family, a puppet at the mercy of others. In time, she will definitely have the ability to make herself and her parents live well. Marrying me makes you feel so uncomfortable. While he was struggling, a cold voice of inquiry came from his ear. You say you won't force me. Chu Xia stood up, raised her head, and looked directly at him, but right now, what is it? I'm here because I don't want some things to affect your choice. Judging from your perception of me, I think too much. After Zhou Mikang finished speaking, he turned and left. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 111. This man. What kind of bear temper? Chu Xia was completely speechless. She was just talking about the facts, so why would he turn his face and leave like a book? Cut, who cares, just leave, as long as you don't force her to marry him, whatever you like. After walking for a while, Zhou Mikang felt a little ridiculous when his anger subsided. How could he be influenced by a little girl? Her arms were bent on her knees, her head was held in both hands, and her small body was huddled together. She looked so weak, so lonely. Inexplicably, his heart softened, and when he approached, he saw the place where she was sitting. The fire rushed to the forehead again. Can't find a dry place to sit? I don't know how to cherish myself when I'm not in good health. What's the use of my brain? The sudden sound of explosion above his head made Chu Xia shiver in fright, and then stared at the other party angrily. Don't you know that you can scare people to death if you are scary? It's not scouts who spy on the enemy's situation. Voice. Zhou Mikang frowned. Can a girl stop talking like she's been shot? Take care of yourself first. When will you talk like a normal person? Come and teach me a lesson. Chu Xia got up and stared at him stubbornly. Others are spoiling you, but I'm not spoiling you. What did the thin little girl say? Others are used to him, but she is not used to him. Oh, the tone is really not small. The smile on Zhou Mikang's lips parted unconsciously. The slender eyes are less cold and more warm, the corners of the slightly raised lips are full of charm, and the sunlight from behind casts a golden light on him like a dream. Like this, he is tall, majestic and majestic. Vigorous, like a hero returning from an expedition. When a girl stares at a man, be more reserved, she said in a stern tone, but her eyes were full of smiles. When Chusia came back to her senses, she felt a hint of playfulness in his eyes. His face flushed red. She actually committed an info in front of him. Just this egomaniac, I don't know how to reprimand her. Seeing the halo that quickly dyed her neck, his eyes sparkled, and he didn't scold her as she expected, but cut to the point. Lin Chuxia, I came here to tell you that Luo Xiaoxian was selected by the dean. It was my mother who did it. They do this because they want you to marry me when you are lonely and helpless. I want you to marry me right away, but I don't want you to be unaware. Marry me in a daze. Of course, they would not joke about Luo Xiaoxian's future. Dean Su really appreciates Luo Xiaoxian. With Luo Xiaoxian's current qualifications, it is true that she cannot get into 401 through normal channels, but Dean Su will never let her be criticized by others. No matter what age, power is a good thing. This is Chuxia's first reaction. Followed. Seriously looking at Zhou Mikang, is it necessary for Luo Xiaoxian to go to 401 to be the assistant to the dean? I want to hear your suggestion. Zhou Mikang was also unambiguous, she should develop better in 401 than in the medical team. As I said just now, Dean Su really likes her and thinks she has that ability. After thinking about it, Chuxia made up her mind. Then, can this matter be kept secret? Yes, Zhou Mikang's eyes showed appreciation. Lin Chuxia, what I like most about you is that you are not hypocritical. Dare to choose her because of this? Chuxia frowned. If, tomorrow, my answer to you is no, will you stop here? Won't. Answered, that is called a straightforward. Chuxia was speechless, so why should she think about it for 3 days? Then what are you talking about not interfering with her decision? Put on a sub-democratic posture, actually despise it? I'm your best choice. I won't force you, but I won't give up, Zhou Mikang said. Chuxia, she didn't know what to say. What kind of man do you want to find as a husband? Zhou Mikang slowed down his tone. I haven't thought about it. Chuxia shook her head. She really didn't have a specific concept. In this era, she didn't dare to have excessive expectations for love. Although she didn't understand this era, she was very clear. This era is so extravagant that it can no longer be extravagant. Just like this time, speaking of it, although Zhou Mikang was domineering, he did not disrespect her. As long as he said a word and pressure from above, she had no other choice at all. He is a hero, and just based on this, he has the right to be overbearing. This is the rule of this era. In the past, when watching movies and TV, some leaders were busy fighting wars and had no wives in their 30s and 40s. As long as they fell in love with a certain female soldier, they had to marry regardless of whether the other party had a lover or not. Of course, it's okay not to marry, as long as you can stand the pressure of public opinion. Now, although it is not as perverted as it was then, the organization still has the right to interfere. As long as she refuses, the leaders have the right to drive her home, and also have the right not to let her enter the university. Frankly speaking, a person who refuses, it is normal to ruin her life. Of course, this only means that they have the right to do that, but based on her understanding of Zhou Mikang's character, she feels that he is unlikely to do that, and this is why she is justified in arguing with him. In fact, if you put aside your prejudice against him and take a closer look at him, you can see that he is also a good-looking talent. Whether it is height or appearance, he is the best choice. Work is also good. The development prospect is even better. As for the background, there is nothing to say. Apart from being a little older than her, there is really nothing wrong with her. Oh no, there is also character. This dead temper is really not very popular. However, for her to be able to marry such a person, in the eyes of many people, she should be lying in her blessing. Right now, this blessing boy came to the door by himself, crying and howling to let her accept it, or would she just begrudgingly do it? But this is a lifelong event. She is only 17. Well, it's 18, but even if it's 18, that is, just in college, how can you get married so early? Jo Mikang stood on the side without saying a word, watching Chu Xia's little face turn cloudy and clear for a while, then cloudy and clear again, changing like a ghostly talisman, and finally lost his patience. Haven't figured it out yet. Why haven't you left yet? You said you wouldn't force me. Chu Xia glared at him. Tomorrow is the day to give you the answer. What's the difference between today and tomorrow? Yes. Chu Xia scratched his head in confusion, as if he didn't have much. Okay, Lin Chuxia, don't even think about it. With your elm head, you don't even know what to look for. If you keep wandering around like this, you may be cheated by some kid someday, and there is nowhere to cry go. I will write a letter to my family tonight and tell them that you are getting married. As for the date, it will be 2 months later. By then, the wheat harvest and autumn planting will be over, so I should be able to spare time. You. Chu Xia was completely defeated by him. 1 minute, he was still discussing with her, but the next minute, he actually made a decision. Moreover, marriage is a matter between two people, right? Why does she feel that this is a matter of one person at all, and has nothing to do with her? Jo Mikang waved his hand. What are you? Even if you are given time, you can't find someone better than me, so it's better not to waste time and feelings. By doing this, your parents can feel at ease earlier, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. Worrying about you. You. Can't you say anything else except this word? Jo Mikang touched her head. That's it. I want you to think about it slowly, but seeing what you were like just now, forget it. You'd better settle down sooner. Let me take care of you. What if I don't marry? Chu Xia finally choked out a complete sentence. You can try. Although there was a smile on the corners of his eyes and brows, why did she feel that he looked so scary? What will happen if you try it? Chu Xia asked boldly. Try it, you'll know if you try it, and now I don't know what will happen. Jo Mikang spread his hands. Anyway, whether you try it or not, the result will be the same. You, Lin Chuxia, can only be mine for the rest of your life. Why? Because I am Jo Mikang. Could you be any more shameless? Chu Xia opened his mouth and didn't say a word for a while. Don't act like you've been bullied. Marry me. You've really made money. I promise, you won't regret it. Looking at the smiling Jo Mikang, who was full of spring flowers, Chu Xia felt his liver hurt. Why is there such a big difference between this man in front of her and in front of others? Oh, no, there seems to be no difference, always so stinky, so arrogant, so domineering, so hateful. The only difference is that in front of others, most of the time she has a sullen face, but with her, most of the time, she seems to have a little facial expression. However, why does she feel that she prefers him with a sullen face? When seeing him smiling brightly, why does the image of a wolf appear in her mind? I'll give you the answer tomorrow. Chu Xia looked at him seriously. Regardless of whether your results are the same or not, I hope you will abide by the agreement, and I will give you the answer tomorrow. Of course, you can force me to marry you, and I know that I have no room to resist, but I believe that with your pride, you don't want to force a girl who doesn't like you to marry you, yes bar? Using aggressive tactics, Jo Mikang smiled. Okay, then give me the answer tomorrow. If you don't want to marry, you can try it. In the afternoon training, Chu Xia was always absent-minded. Zheng Meili felt ashamed of her in her heart, so she turned a blind eye and pretended not to see it. The team members looked at Chu Xia, but most of them were disgusted. No one likes the team members favored by the leader. Taking advantage of the time to rest, Luo Xiaoqian asked Chu Xia if something happened. She smiled wryly and blamed her depression on the coming aunt. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 112. Second update, please encourage me. Wait, I'll get you some hot water, you'll feel comfortable after drinking it. Without doubting him, Luo Xiaoxian took the tea mug and ran away quickly. As soon as the eye sockets became hot, Chu Xia quickly lowered her head and quietly wiped away the damp heat from the corners of her eyes. Don't want Xiaoxian to leave, right? A black shadow flashed, and there was someone beside her. It was Lu Meijun. Yeah, there was no way to explain it, so Chu Xia decided to make a mistake, but, to be honest, part of her tears were moved, and part of it was reluctance, so it was not wrong to answer like this. Don't talk about you, I've only been with her for a few days, and the thought of her leaving makes me feel uncomfortable. Lu Meijun sighed softly. However, I'm looking forward to the order to be issued quickly. Since the news that Luo Xiaoxian was going to be transferred to Hospital 401 spread, everyone questioned her the most. I believe many people are waiting to see the joke. Chu Xia already knows about this, so of course she won't worry about it anymore. Knowing that Lu Meijun had been feeling guilty for being outspoken at the time, Chu Xia consoled her, don't worry, a leader as big as Dean Su won't make jokes about such things. I think so too. Although she nodded in agreement, the uneasiness in Lu Meijun's voice was clear and discernible. Chu Xia knew that no matter how much she tried to persuade her now, it would be difficult to truly untie Lu Meijun's knots, so she looked at Yun Daodu, who had been huddled beside the two of them and kept silent. Seeing that you have been depressed today, what's the matter? It's okay. Yun Daodu tried hard to put on a smiling face. Xiaoxian wants to leave, I can't bear it. Lu Meijun looked at her suspiciously. Why do I feel that the relationship between you and Xiaoxian is deeper than Chuxia and Xiaoxian? I just have such a personality, I don't like parting. It's just. Yun Daodu sighed quietly. How can life only be together without parting, right? Yes. Lu Meijun nodded and patted her. I didn't say anything more. Drink it while it's hot. Luo Xiaoxian rushed over and handed the water to Chu Xia, not forgetting to tell him, slow down, take small sips, don't burn it, it won't work when it's cold. Drink it quickly. Puff. Yuan Meng, who was closer to the few people, burst out laughing, and then asked at the top of his voice, Luo Xiaoxian, are you Lin Chuxia's mother or Lin Chuxia's grandma? Ha ha ha. Other players immediately burst into laughter. The captain has been taking care of this weak Lin Chuxia, and everyone has long been tired of it. Therefore, it is something that everyone is extremely happy to be able to step on. These people. Luo Xiaoxian frowned. If I leave, they will be even more unscrupulous, or else. Chu Xia interrupted her, okay, if you really do this, I guess they will laugh at me anytime. You have to believe me. Luo Xiaoxian looked troubled. Luo Xiaoxian's character is also a little axis, she is sure about it. If she can't turn the corner, she will always struggle. Just like now, she knew that going to the General Hospital of the 401 military region would be better for her development, but as long as she thought that she had promised her elders to take good care of Chu Xia, she felt that she had betrayed her friendship and broken her promise by doing so. If Chu Xia hadn't said that she would join her in the future and let her play forward first, even if she knew that going to the 401 military region General Hospital would have better development prospects, she would not have left Chu Xia alone. This is also the fundamental reason why Chu Xia asked Zhou Mikang to keep this matter a secret. She has really experienced the axis of a good friend. As for the name change incident, she has said so many times that she doesn't mind, but Luo Xiaoxian always thinks that she is comforting her, and doesn't believe what she said is true. It is also for this reason that Luo Xiaoxian is always a little cautious when dealing with her, for fear that something will not be in place and let her go to a dead end. She will be bitten by a snake once, and she will be afraid of well ropes for 10 years. Oops. Luo Xiaoxian, I'm waiting for you to develop and promote me, Yuan Mengmeng said sourly, stretching his neck. By the way, Luo Xiaoxian, when will the dean come to pick you up? I'm sure you'll be here in these 2 days. What are you in a hurry for? Chu Xia glared at her, and sat down. The blushing and thick-necked Luo Xiaoxian, don't talk to her, this kind of villain, the angrier you are, the happier she is. Chu Xia, I'm worried, just in case. There is no chance. Believe me, you will never be anyone's laughing stock, Chu Xia said firmly. Inexplicably, Luo Xiaoxian's heart settled down, and she understood that at this point, she could no longer back down. Chu Xia, I won't sway left and right anymore, as long as Xiao Miao comes to pick me up, I will go. It is good. Luo Xiaoxian added, if Xiao Miao doesn't come to pick me up, I will be calm. Chu Xia nodded with a black line, okay. At this time, besides being good, what else can she say? Over there, Yuan Mengmeng was still chattering sourly, but was kicked by Lin Mengran and fell to the ground, finally lost his voice and hurt. Are you crazy? Yuan Mengmeng regained his breath, struggling to get up, and was about to pounce on Lin Mengran. I advise you to think it over before deciding whether to do it or not. Lin Mengran squinted at her. I said before, the most annoying kind of bastard who disregards the interests of the group and has a narrow mind. If you are not afraid of pain, you can come and provoke me. She is obviously a short girl, but when she said these words, no one dared to underestimate the aura she exuded from her body. She swallowed the curse words in her throat, and turned her gaze to Yang Xiaoli. Yuan Mengmeng's expression was like a quilt, a puppy abandoned by its owner. In fact, her master had really abandoned her. Yang Xiaoli didn't seem to see her calling for help. She tilted her head and went to chat with Qi Jihong. At this time, Zheng Meili, who was walking this way while talking with an elegantly dressed middle-aged woman, rescued Yuan Mengmeng in time, and really rushed forward to compete with Lin Mengran. She is not reconciled. She had never thought the captain was so cute before. She almost wanted to pounce on him and hug him for a bite. Feeling Yun Daodu standing beside her suddenly stiffen, Lu Meijun looked at her suspiciously. Daodu, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? Jun Daodu stood there with a pale face and said nothing. Peanuts. Before Lu Meijun could ask again, Zheng Meili brought the middle-aged woman to the front. Jun Daodu, come out. Daodu, come out, the middle-aged woman also said softly. Until the evening, Yun Daodu did not come back. After discussing with Luo Xiaoxian in early summer, they quietly went to find Zhou Hanliang. Anyway, it was Zhou Hanliang who handed Yun Daodu to the two of them and took them to the dormitory. Cough. 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 Pushing open the door of Zhou Hanliang's office, the two of them were choked and coughed again and again. Daodu's family objected to us being together, so Zhou Hanliang looked at the two with a wry smile. She was taken home. Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian looked at Zhou Hanliang in bewilderment, a little confused about the situation. As far as they knew, Yun Daodu's parents were ordinary workers. How could they look down on Zhou Hanliang, who was already a captain at the age of 26? Those are her adoptive parents, her biological parents. After a long pause, Zhou Hanliang said, her biological parents have a relatively high status and look down on me. No wonder Yun Daodu has been in a bad state today. I remember that she went to answer the phone last night and came back to say that she was a little tired, so she went to sleep early. It seems that the call was from her biological parents. If you don't tell them, you don't know how to speak, right? Besides, after all, we've only known each other for 2 days, so how can we talk to them about this kind of thing? You don't need to comfort me. I handed it over to you at that time. Now, I should give you an explanation. So, I will tell you this. Don't worry, I will stay by myself for a while, and I can just think about it. Zhou Hanliang issued an order to expel the guests. They didn't know each other well, and it seemed that they really didn't have the qualifications to stay to comfort him. The two looked at each other, apologized, and retreated. Go back, I'll keep an eye on him. The two of them trembled in fright, only to realize that there was a dark figure standing at the door. If it wasn't for the wrong situation, Chu Xia really wanted to scold him. Why he walks like a cat every time, people are scary, it can really scare people to death. She's not joking. At night, lying in bed, Chu Xia couldn't sleep for a long time. Early the next morning, Chu Xia showed up at Zhou Mikang's office on time. Looking at the gloomy Chu Xia, Zhou Mikang frowned. It's too big to fall asleep. Are you interested? Chu Xia frowned. You mean, I should be frowning now? Zhou Mikang snorted coldly. The Yun family, sooner or later I will regret it. So what? Lovers can't be together, so what if you regret it? Zhou Mikang waved his hands impatiently. Whether we're together or not, we can't make a conclusion right now. Now, don't worry about other people's affairs. Answer, tell me, I'm still busy. This dead man. Chu Xia, who hadn't slept well all night, was quite angry, and felt her head suddenly heat up. Unfortunately, before she could enter the fighting state, the group leader Tongzi spoke again. Lin Chuxia, I don't think you have always been lugo talkative people. Yu Chu Xia gritted his teeth and smiled. That's right, I'm not a wordy person. Of course I've already thought about the answer, I'll marry. However, there are a few additional conditions. Say, said the head of the group, Zhaizi, simply and neatly. After you get married, you have to hand over all your money to me. Ro. After marriage, I want to continue working. Ro. After getting married, I miss my parents, so I can go home and visit them. Ro. After you get married, you can't shout at me in a macho way. If you have something to do, let's discuss it. Ro. When you get married, you can't make a big fuss, and you can't make it public. Marrying me, is it so embarrassing? The group leader Tongzi narrowed his eyes dangerously.